So last weekend was San Diego Comic-Con, the biggest weekend of the entire year for the geek community. Just wall-to-wall stories about everything you could possibly imagine, whether it had to do with comic books or movies or TV series. There was something breaking every single day. So I'm gonna let you guys in on a secret. I'm gonna let you in on something that I've been keeping secret for a long time now. I'm gonna make a big reveal here. Everybody come in real close for this one. I stopped caring about San Diego Comic-Con years ago. And I'm not saying that to try and put a damper on anybody's excitement out there. I'm not saying that to come in here and go, and you shouldn't care about either. No, man, if you get excited about this, if this is the thing that you look forward to every single year, great, awesome. I'm glad that you have that. I just have not been excited about San Diego Comic-Con in a while. In fact, real talk, I didn't realize that San Diego Comic-Con was happening this week until last Tuesday. Yeah. So it was not really on my radar, and the reason why I don't really get excited about San Diego Comic-Con is they haven't really made any announcements over the past couple years that have really made me excited for anything. There's been nothing that they've really come out there and revealed, no big clips that they've shown off, no big trailers that they have presented that made me go, oh my goodness, I can't wait to see that thing. Oh, that's exactly what I've been waiting for. Yeah, they have shown off some stuff, but we can get that stuff kind of anywhere these days. A lot of the big people out there who make the big announcements, they've come to realize, oh, we can kind of just present this whenever we want, and then we have more control over it, and then we don't have to fight with everybody else for screen time. So, yeah, it was just kind of another weekend. Until Marvel came out on Saturday night, and they reminded us of why San Diego Comic-Con actually is exciting. What they did on Saturday night is the kind of stuff that I always used to remember about San Diego Comic-Con. That is the stuff that I always used to look forward to at San Diego Comic-Con. Marvel came out on Saturday night and just went, yeah, this is the stuff that you're supposed to reserve for San Diego Comic-Con. And considering that Disney has their own weekend that they specifically reserved to just talk about their big announcements, it was kind of shocking that they came out here and did all this at San Diego Comic-Con. Now granted, we didn't get any trailers for anything, so maybe this was all part of their plan. At Comic-Con, they come in here with the setup, and then when it comes to their own special Disney weekend, that's when you get the punch. That's when they come in here and go, hey, remember all that stuff that we mentioned at Comic-Con? Now you're actually gonna start to see some of it. You're gonna start to see some trailers, see some people in costumes, see some designs that we have coming up. So this might have been a smart idea on their part to come in here and just have this weekend be the setup, but it was a really darn good setup. That's one thing that I gotta give Disney. They know how to set stuff up that makes me interested. That makes me go, oh, okay, so this is the plan. Let's see where it's going. Which, that's one of the reasons why all this stuff that they announced actually has me really excited. Because almost everything that they announced this weekend is stuff we already knew was on the way. We already knew every single one of those Disney Plus shows. We already knew there was a Black Widow, Eternals, Shang-Chi movie. We all knew those were coming, but they had yet to actually officially lay it all out. They had yet to actually come in here and make that big official announcement, which they put up there the big logo of the thing that's happening, and have the people who are in the thing that's happening come out here and talk to you, the audience, about the thing that is happening. And because they had yet to actually do that, there were a lot of things that they had announced that I should have been excited for, but I wasn't. I love Shang-Chi. I should have been really excited that there was a Shang-Chi movie on the way. But because they had yet to make that official announcement, I was just like, yeah, we'll see if that ends up happening. And a lot of the reason why that was my outlook on this was because of DC. Yes, I know everybody just assumes I hate everything DC related and that I love everything Marvel related, so this isn't going to help with that, but I've said this many times, I can't get excited about anything that DC announces because they announce everything, just non-stop. Announcement. They have about 20 projects that are in development, and many of them have been in development for close to a decade at this point. And yeah, I have to look at that and just go, I have no faith in any of this. I don't believe that any of this stuff is happening at all until I see a trailer. And Marvel, several years back, they came in here and they laid out a roadmap. They put a roadmap down. They said, this is what we are going to do. This is the path that our movies are going to take, all in the lead up to Avengers Infinity War Part 2, which eventually became Avengers Endgame, but still it was Avengers Infinity War Part 2. And I got excited about all that stuff. And every single time that one of those movies came out, I looked at it and went, oh my goodness, holy cow, it's actually happening. We're all going to that endpoint. We're all going to the place that we saw we were going to go to. Oh, I'm so excited about this right now. I had someone on Twitter recently contact me, and they just said, oh yeah, you want a roadmap for stage 4? Oh, we saw how good the last roadmap worked out. Like, insanely well? What the hell are you talking about? Only one movie that they put on that roadmap didn't happen. The Inhumans are the only thing that they put down that did not happen. That's insane how many of those things actually ended up happening. That's great! I love the roadmap when it comes to laying out your cinematic universe. It makes me think that there's actually a plan involved. So yeah, that's why I could not be that excited about any of the things that they were announcing for stage 4 and beyond. I needed that roadmap. I need to actually see them come in here and go, these are the things that we're going to do. And now we've gotten that. And we didn't just get him coming out there. We didn't just get Kevin Feige coming out there and showing off the big old roadmap. We got everybody who was involved in this coming out there as well. That's how you do it. I'm now looking at all these things that I should have been really excited about, but I was refusing to let myself get too excited about. And I'm now looking at them going, oh my God, they're actually happening. I'm allowed to be happy about this now. But okay, let's go ahead and actually talk about what was announced, because there was a lot that was announced. It is crazy to me that Marvel is going to have 7 projects in 1 year. That is madness to me. That is like Disney just looking at all those people out there who have been writing those articles about is superhero fatigue becoming a thing, and Disney just shook their head, cracked their knuckles, just went, all right, you want to play it that way? Fine, challenge accepted. They just went in there and just decided, we are going to show you that superhero fatigue is not a thing. Because, listen guys, I'm not saying that the superhero craze isn't eventually going to tap down a little bit, that there's going to be fewer superhero films in years coming up. I'm not saying that won't become a thing, but this isn't going to just dry up and become nothing. People have been saying for over a decade now that this superhero craze is going to die any day now. Any day now. Audiences, they're just gonna get tired of superhero movies. It's just going to happen. It's only a matter of time. They were saying that before the Marvel Cinematic Universe even began. So can we all just agree that the people who write those articles, they're not writing it because they actually believe it. They're writing it because superhero films are still popular, so saying that they could eventually die is something that will get people to talk about their articles, much in the same way that I am right now. So let's move on from that. Let's talk about what they actually announced. First thing is that, yes, we all knew that a Black Widow movie was being made, but it's crazy to me that that thing is coming out in May, and we still have heard like nothing about. I still had doubts it was actually happening because they just haven't talked about it. It's coming out in like May, and still just nothing at all. No talk of the Black Widow movie. But we finally did get talk about, and it is now confirmed what the rumor was, is that Taskmaster is going to be one of the villains. There is another character that is going to be in there, and she plays a character who is a Black Widow villain called Iron Maiden. I know like nothing about her, but I know a lot about Taskmaster. Yeah, my boy Taskmaster right there. Got my own custom Taskmaster shield pillow right there because I freaking love Taskmaster. He is actually one of my favorite Marvel villains. And apparently they did actually show off footage from the film that did show Taskmaster fighting Black Widow and show that he is going to be able to replicate her moves just like he can in the comics. And he is also going to have his skull mask and he is going to be carrying a big shield. So cool. All right, I'm happy with that. However, I do gotta be honest with you guys. It does kind of bum me out that Taskmaster is going to be in the Black Widow movie and not in the upcoming Shang-Chi film. Taskmaster's power is he can replicate any move he sees someone do, and Shang-Chi is going to be a martial arts film. Really feels like he should be over there. But I am happy to know that Taskmaster is going to be in a thing, and he's got the skull mask and a shield. It's kind of all that I really want. Speaking of guys with shields, the Falcon and Winter Soldier show is going to be the very first of the Marvel shows that are going to be premiering on Disney+. I am very excited about this because if you guys know me, you know that I freaking love Sam Wilson as Captain America. Spoilers for Endgame, but at the end of that movie, Sam Wilson got the Captain America shield, And Cap told him, yeah, it's your time to be Captain America now. And man, I was sitting there in that theater, and my jaw dropped, and my fist just started to raise in like a yes motion. I kept it intact, but like my fist I couldn't stop it from this. So yes, I am very excited to see where that storyline goes, and is going to be continuing in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, which they have confirmed is going to be about Falcon having to deal with the fact that he's kind of had Cap's legacy now placed on him, so he has to kind of figure out what he's going to do about that, which is smart, because that's what a lot of Falcon's early years as Captain America was. It was him trying to figure out, okay, how do I live up to that massive legacy? So yeah, you do kind of need a show about that. What I'm hoping is that this show, he's going to be Falcon for pretty much the entire show, and then towards the end of it, he's gonna suit up in that Captain America outfit. He's gonna go out there, he's gonna punch Baron Zemo in the face in that old Captain America pose. You all know the one that I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm really looking forward to. And I do love that Baron Zemo is coming back for this, because Baron Zemo, I think that he was a very cool villain in Civil War, but he wasn't really the focus of Civil War. Civil War was about Tony and Cap. Baron Zemo was that guy way in the background, making all that stuff happen. But I have been hoping to see that guy return so he can be a little bit more in the forefront, a little bit more out there where everybody can see him being a big old villain. So yeah, in this Falcon Winter Soldier show, that's the perfect place to put him. Next up, this is another one that had been in the rumor mill for a long time, because Marvel wanted to create some kind of a show that was like a big space opera that was basically going to be Game of Thrones in space. And they were going to do it with Inhumans, and then humans crashed and burned. Luckily, Marvel has no shortage of weird, crazy space families, so now they're bringing in the Eternals. We've been hearing about this happening for a long period of time, and it is finally happening, and they brought in the entire cast, and pretty much everybody we had heard rumors about being in this movie is in this movie. Angelina Jolie is in there, Selma Hayek is in there, which, Selma Hayek, I'm shocked that she is playing the leader of the Eternals, because I look at her and I go, she would be great as Cersei. She would be great as Cersei, the Eternal who eventually ended up joining the Avengers. It is kind of weird to me that Cersei isn't in this at all, because I feel like out of all the Eternals out there, because she was on the Avengers, she might be the most well-known of them, but it's odd that she's just not in this movie at all. Yeah, it's just kind of weird to me. But we also have Kumail Nanjiani in there. I've said many times on our movie review show, Kumail Nanjiani is typically the best part of whatever he's in, but he's going to be in a Marvel show with Selma Hayek and Angelina Jolie and tons of other incredibly talented people. That is now going to be a very high bar for him to pass, so I'm going to be interested in seeing if he can do it. I'm also going to be interested in seeing how humorous he's going to be, because I'm looking at a lot of the other people who are in this, and they're not very humorous people. And I look at like the director of this is a super indie director. I'm talking getting nominated for Spirit Awards style indie director. And she does like a lot of really low budget, down to earth stuff. So it's kind of weird to see her now go into this big space epic thing, but it makes sense because, as I said, Disney wants this to be their Game of Thrones in space. Game of Thrones is all about the personal relations. Game of Thrones is all about this person interacting with that person and the unique relationships that everybody has with each other. And when you look at the film that this director has done, it's pretty much nothing but human drama. So I'm very interested in seeing what she's going to be able to do going up to something like the Eternals. I'm also very happy to see that Disney is continuing their trend of taking really low budget indie directors and just giving them a ton of money. I mean, they have a really good track record with doing that. That's basically what happened with James Gunn, the Russo brothers, Taika Waititi. So yeah, if they want to continue doing that, it's been paying off for them, and it's been creating some of their best stuff. So I'm very happy to see them continuing that direction with the Eternals. Also, I'm very happy to see that Ma Dong-seok, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but basically the best character from Train to Busan, probably the best zombie film that's ever been made. He's going to be in this film as well, and he's going to be playing Gilgamesh. And from what I could tell from the reporting of this event, was that was a weird sense. What I could tell from the stories that came out from this was that he's going to be the villain of this thing. That's kind of interesting because Gilgamesh was not a villain, but I don't know. Nobody really cares who the villains are for the Eternals. They were not that big of a deal, but just look over at Guardians of the Galaxy. Marvel also has a great track record with taking characters that nobody thought was a big deal and making them a really big deal. Speaking of characters that people don't really care about, but I'm really hoping that these movies can make people really care about them, Shang-Chi. As I said earlier in this episode, I'm a big fan of Shang-Chi, so I am very excited to see that this thing is actually happening, it's actually getting made, and the title of the movie is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I was watching this unfold live on Twitter, and when the title got revealed, I thought to myself, wait, so like the Mandarin? Like that's kind of like the Mandarin's whole thing. Yeah, it's the Mandarin. Like a few minutes later, it did get revealed. Yes, the villain is going to be the Mandarin. So this thing might as well just be called Shang-Chi, Are You Happy Now, Fanboys? Are you happy now, everybody who still years later are hung up about Iron Man 3, we're gonna make the Mandarin an actual thing. Okay, fine. I was actually okay with what they did with the Mandarin, because I really don't care about the Mandarin one way or another. So I really didn't care that they turned him into Trevor Slattery. Or actually, that's not accurate. They turned him into Guy Pearce. Trevor Slattery was the actor pretending to be Guy Pearce. Anyway, it's a whole big thing. I didn't really care about what they did with the Mandarin in that one. But I know people out there were upset, so fine. They're finally giving you the freaking Mandarin. So yeah, cool. I'm totally fine with that, because just like I mentioned with the Eternals, nobody really knows who Shang-Chi's villains are. I know who his villains are, and he doesn't really have any good ones. Shang-Chi has like no good villains. He's got a guy whose arms have been replaced with blades, which never made sense to me, because Shang-Chi can break metal with his hands. How is this guy a threat to him at all? And that's one of his biggest guys. So yes, take a bunch of other villains that you can't fit into other movies, turn them into Shang-Chi villains. I'm 100% cool with that. Next up, time to go back to another Disney Plus show. WandaVision has been announced, which is going to be the continuing stories of Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch, and the Vision. It's very weird to me they did not call this Scarlet Witch and Vision, but then it kind of hit me. I don't know if they actually have announced yet that Wanda Maximoff is called the Scarlet Witch in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I don't know if she has a code name. I do not remember them ever actually calling her Scarlet Witch. Maybe they did for a little bit in Civil War, but I don't remember it ever actually happening. So yeah, that's odd. I'm kind of hoping that in this show she actually does get the name Scarlet Witch. But here's the big question about this show. This is set after Endgame. Vision's dead. So what's going to happen with that? And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, yeah, but he's a robot. You can just rebuild him. Yeah, but he was a very unique robot. And are they going to be able to rebuild him? They don't even have the gem that powered him up in the first place. I mean, I guess Shuri had the blueprint, so she could maybe rebuild him? I don't know if they're going to be able to rebuild him. Huh, how could that happen? So it's time for me to get into really wild speculation. Time for me to just throw out really insane theories. They said that this movie is going to lead into, this show is going to lead into the upcoming Doctor Strange film. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which, by the way, I freaking love that title for two reasons. One is because it's a reference to In the Mouth of Madness and Mountains of Madness, so it's very clear they're going to be going in a horror direction with Doctor Strange, and I'm 100% okay with that because you know me, I'm a big horror fan, but also because Doctor Strange has got some really creepy villains like Shumo Garath or Dweller in the Dark, so it's awesome that they're going to be exploring that, but also, in Spider-Man Far From Home, you had Mysterio come out there and say, yes, there is a multiverse out there, and everybody was like, well, he could be lying, he's Mysterio, but what if it's true? What if they actually are setting up a multiverse? Oh my goodness. And then it turned out that, spoiler for Far From Home, it turned out that he was lying. It turned out there was no multiverse. He was actually from this Earth. Oh, it was all some big trick. There's even a joke that makes in there about how, oh man, you wrote that whole thing about me being from a multiverse, which sounds incredibly stupid, but apparently it's the BS that these people just eat up. And now Doctor Strange is just gonna come walking in through a portal just like, you think this is a joke? You think the multiverse just something for you to make fun of? Yeah, multiverse. No, it's real, and I have to look over this thing. So, here is all that we know so far about the WandaVision show. We know it's going to lead into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. In fact, we even know that Wanda is going to be in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which is awesome to me because it means that she might actually finally start learning real magic like she uses in the comics. Because when she first appeared in the comics, she just really used her mutant powers, but then she learned actual magic. So that might be what they plan on doing here. Because so far, all we've really seen her doing is basically just using the powers that the Infinity Stones gave her when Hydra did those experiments on her. So I look forward to seeing what happens when she actually teams up with Doctor Strange. Maybe she's going to actually learn some spells. But we know it's going to lead into that. But we also know it's going to be weird. They said this is going to be crazy and trippy in a way that nothing that Marvel has done has been like so far. So here's my theory. Here's my theory so far. We know that in the MCU, Wanda got her powers from the Infinity Stones. She had weird experiments done to her by Hydra using the Infinity Stones, and now suddenly she has this red energy coming out of her that allows her to tamper with things and move things around. With the MCU recoloring all of the Infinity Stones, what's the new color of the Reality Stone? Red. What's the color of the energy that Wanda can tap into? Red. I have a theory that in this upcoming show, it's not going to be Vision getting rebuilt. It's going to be Wanda missing Vision so much that she decides to try and use her powers to rip open a hole into another reality where the Vision still exists. It's going to be Wanda searching through these different realities to try and find another Vision. That's my theory right now, because that could also create a multiverse of madness that Doctor Strange would have to come in here and deal with. Just saying, it seems to line up like that. That's just my theory. Also, that kind of covers all my theories about the Doctor Strange film that was announced. Oh, Nightmare is going to be the villain in Doctor Strange. So that's kind of awesome. Nightmare's a really cool villain. I guess I just kind of cleared out 2 topics at once now, so we can just move on to the next thing. Next up, speaking of alternate realities, it has now been confirmed the thing that many of us had suspected, which is that the upcoming Loki show on Disney Plus, it's not going to star our Loki, not the one that died in our reality. Turns out he actually did die. But you remember how in Endgame, they had to go back in time, and when you go back in time, you basically create split-offs into other realities, and they ended up screwing up and setting Loki free with the Tesseract, and he escaped? Yeah, it's going to focus on that Loki. And that's very interesting, because that Loki has not had his redemption arc yet. That Loki is still an a-hole. So we're going to be following complete a-hole Loki from an alternate reality, and it makes me think, that's in an alternate reality. You can do whatever you want in that. You don't have to worry about Loki getting defeated by the Avengers. He can go off and just do his own thing. He can go off and beat the Avengers. He can go off and find some other characters to beat. He can go out there and just conquer the entire planet. It's an alternate reality. You can do whatever you want with him. However, when you look at the logo that they showed off, it's a very weird looking logo. And I've seen many people look at that logo and say it looks terrible because it's just a bunch of random fonts thrown together. I think that's done entirely on purpose. Because I just mentioned, I think that the WandaVision show is going to be about going into different realities. We already know that he's in another reality. And we know that his show is going to come after a movie that definitely has to do with alternate realities. I have a weird feeling like this is basically going to be a Loki road trip show. It's going to be him with the Tesseract, aka the Space Stone, which allows him to just go wherever he wants. Basically just going, wait a minute, hold on. So those guys who freed me came from another reality? Maybe if I use this thing, I can just go out there and find my own thing. I can go wherever I want. I think that the different fonts on that Loki title card, I think that's entirely done on purpose. Because remember, Loki is also a shapeshifter. He's an illusionist. I feel like this is going to be some kind of a series where every single episode is just something completely different. Just something completely crazy with a different tone, different adventure, different location, different storyline. Just moving on from one thing to the next with each episode, but there's some big overarching theme of something that Loki has to get to. I feel like that's what this is going to be. And speaking again about alternate realities, the What If show is confirmed. We know that's happening now. We already kind of knew that was happening, but it just feels good to see it up there on the big board. It just feels good to see them point out and go, that is actually a thing that we are doing. It is insane to me that in my lifetime, we are seeing a What If show. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has become so big now, and they've had so much stuff happen in there, that they can now come in here with a show based on just asking what if questions about all the movies and shows that we've already gotten. That's incredible to me that that's the thing that's actually going to happen. I love that it's animated because making it animated, it gives you more freedom. It allows you to just take your imagination in more directions. It allows fewer restraints on you, so I love that they're doing that. But also, the watcher is going to be the host. Every single show is going to be introed and narrated by the freaking watcher, just like the old What If comics. Dear God, I love this. I love this so much. I'm so happy about this. Next up, speaking of shows that we knew were happening, but it just feels good to actually see them being announced. These segues are getting kind of hard, people. The Hawkeye show is actually happening, and it is going to star Jeremy Renner, and he is going to be training Kate Bishop. Yes, Kate Bishop, the second Hawkeye, she is now going to be in this show. This entire show is going to be about Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye training the next Hawkeye. In fact, he even said, it's kind of my job to look over the next generation. Like, he purposely left that kind of vague. What I'm thinking is that this could be the start of like a Young Avengers show, which will be great, because then people on my Twitter feed will finally shut up about Disney doing a Young Avengers show. Yeah, I've seen all your tweets. I've read them. You can stop sending them to me now. This might actually be a thing. I'm glad you might get that. Hooray. So yes, Kate Bishop, love Kate Bishop, love the Young Avengers, love Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye, love regular Hawkeye. And this is going to supposedly have a similar tone to the Matt Fraction Hawkeye series, which, yeah, just makes sense. That just is a good idea. It's the most critically acclaimed Hawkeye series of all time. It's the series where Kate Bishop became the big star that she is. It makes absolute sense to try and give it a similar tone and a similar vibe. My only question is, how are they going to do that? Because the Hawkeye in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he's got family on a farm out in the middle of nowhere. The Matt Fraction series was all about a single loser Hawkeye in Brooklyn. Yeah, I don't know how they're going to line that up. I'm going to be very interested to see how they capture the tone of Matt Fraction's Hawkeye in the MCU. It's going to be very interesting. All I need them to do, though, is just at some point have Jeremy Renner say, okay, this looks bad. If you could just start every episode off with that, awesome. I'm sold. That's all I need out of this show. And the last thing they announced on the big board, on the big timeline, is that Thor 4 is happening, which is so weird to me that's happening because I thought there was like an agreement. Each of you guys only get 3 movies, but then Ragnarok came in here and went, yeah, this movie's so good. Could we just ignore those first 2 movies? This is kind of what we want from Thor. So I can overlook it. All right, cool. Yeah, let's get more Thor movies in here. And this one is going to be called Love and Thunder, which I thought was a very interesting name. But then Natalie Portman walked out and they revealed, yes, Jane Foster is returning. The woman that Thor fell in love with here on Earth, she's going to return. She's going to pick up Mjolnir, and she's now going to become Thor. We're going to get Jane Foster's Thor in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You guys know how much I freaking love Jane Foster as Thor. I wish that Jane Foster had just remained as Thor. I swear to you, I'm pretty much ready to just stop reading Marvel comics and just watch the movies. Because I'm going to get Jane Foster Thor and Sam Wilson Captain America. I don't really need anything from the comics right now. The stuff I want is right over there. That's the stuff I'm looking forward to. Awesome, great. Shang-Chi is going to have a movie. Shang-Chi ain't going to have a new comic. He's going to have a movie. All the stuff I need is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, with Natalie Portman returning to be Jane Foster, let me go ahead and address something. Which is that I didn't really like Natalie Portman as Jane Foster in those first 2 Thor films. But you know who else I didn't really like in those first 2 Thor films? Pretty much everyone, because those first 2 Thor films are not all that good. I wouldn't call them bad, but they're probably some of the worst in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. I went back and rewatched them when Infinity War was coming out. Yeah, they're not all that good. They've got a ton of problems in them, and none of the acting is really all that great in either of those films. So I can't really judge her performance in those films to what it could possibly be in this upcoming film, because Natalie Portman is an insanely talented actress. But when you watch her in those first 2 Thor films, it's very clear she didn't really want to be there, and she's kind of made that clear elsewhere that she really wants nothing to do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it is kind of odd to me that she is returning this. However, Taika Waititi is returning for this new Thor film. And if anybody can get anybody out there to be excited about being in a movie, it's Taika Waititi. That could be the entire reason why she is agreeing to show up in this thing, because Taika Waititi is just that good of a director. He can get performances out of people that make you really love them in those movies. So yeah, I'm not looking at her the same way that I looked at her in those previous Thor films. I'm looking at her as something completely new in this upcoming film. Because, again, you look at Thor Ragnarok, it's totally different from those other 2 Thor films. It's 100% different. So yeah, it just kind of makes sense to me that she would return for this film. But I can also come in here and say that even if she ends up giving a similar performance, where it's kind of clear that, oh yeah, I don't think that she actually wants to be in this movie, she's not really giving it her all, oh yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed in this thing. Whenever Jane Foster picks up the hammer, she transforms. Fully, 100%. She gets buff, she grows a foot in size, she gets long flowing blonde hair. So if Natalie Portman comes back as Jane Foster, I would not be shocked if she becomes a completely different actress the moment she picks up the hammer. And I'm just going to throw this out there. If you need a really tall, buff, blonde person, I know for a fact someone at Disney has got Gwendolyn Christie's number on speed dial. And you would better call her up soon, because I'm pretty sure that someone over at Warner Bros. Is trying to get in contact with her right now to play Big Bar in that upcoming new Gods film. So, those were all the things that they put out there on the big board, but they did come in here and announce, yes, we are working on Fantastic Four. We are making Black Panther 2. We are making Captain Marvel 2, which I'm really hoping that that's going to introduce Rogue, because he also said that they are going to be working on mutants. They didn't officially say X-Men, they just said mutants, which makes me think that they're going to try and make X-Men their next Avengers, and we're just going to start seeing mutants pop up here and there, and then they're all going to come together for the X-Men film. That's just my theory right now, But he also had Mahershala Ali come out. Mahershala Ali put on a baseball cap for Blade. They are making a freaking Blade film. That's amazing to me. That is, okay, like I said, at the start of the night, I was looking at this going, it feels so good to know all these things are announced, but we did already know that they were in the works. But Jane Foster Thor and Blade, no one knew that was happening. No one. No one has any idea that that was going to be a thing. So I am so happy that these things are happening. People have been asking for the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of Blade to appear forever. It is great to see that it's finally going to happen. And I know a lot of people out there are going to come in here and say, yeah, but I really wish they had gotten Wesley Snipes back. This movie will not come out until at least 2022. That is like the earliest that we're going to end up getting that. Wesley Snipes will be 60 years old in 2022. And if they want this thing to be a trilogy, which they probably will, that means that Wesley Snipes would end up being roughly 70 years old before they ended up making the last Blade film. Guys, you gotta just let stuff go at some point. You gotta just eventually go, that movie was amazing, I will always hold on to it and always loving it, but it's time for a new installment with different people in there. Because I would love it if there was a way to just stop time from moving. It ain't gonna happen. Unless you can get Doctor Strange to loan you a favor with his Eye of Agamotto, it ain't gonna happen, everybody. The sand of time just keep pouring out. You can't just hang up there in the top of that hourglass. Eventually you gotta fall on down with the rest of us, alright? I mean, for God's sakes, Wesley Snipes is older than Don Cheadle, and people are saying that Don Cheadle is too old to play War Machine, and War Machine is just a special effects. So yes, you can't have Blade as Wesley Snipes forever. You gotta get someone new in there. Mahershala Ali is a perfect choice for that. He is an amazing pick to play Blade. I love this. So there you go. Those were all the announcements that were made for Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I gotta tell you, I'm incredibly excited. I cannot wait to see what they end up doing from this point on, because it looks like Phase 1 through 3, that was on a strict plan. We're going from here to here to here to here. It looks like now Marvel is actually experimenting more. They're getting different stuff out there. I mean, we not only have a big crazy Game of Thrones in space movie, but also a spy movie, and also a kung fu movie, and also a Doctor Strange film that's going to be horror themed, but also Blade. Blade, not only is that going to have horror elements in it, it could very well be Marvel's very first R-rated film. And you know something? I'm totally okay with that. We're at that point now where you don't have to worry about making films that everyone must come together and see because they're all leading towards something. No, you can make an R-rated Blade film just because you want to make an R-rated Blade film and you think you got a good one that you can make and please that audience that wants the R-rated Blade film. There are so many different tones and different styles of movies that they have coming up, and that's awesome, but what has me even more excited is that they've got so many different people now working in these films. Because I've been saying this for a long time, I absolutely love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I've been wanting to see more women, more people of color, more people from the LGBTQ community in there. And they came in here and they just revealed the Eternals. They revealed Shang-Chi. Black Widow finally getting a movie. Jane Foster is going to be Thor. A bunch of the directors in there, very different from the types of directors that they've been hiring so far. Also, they came in here and they confirmed that one members of the Eternal and Valkyrie are now open LGBTQ characters. Yeah, man, they are diversifying the people who they are going to be representing in these films, and I love that. I am so happy to see that that is actually going to be something that isn't just going to be a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but something that they're embracing. Something that they really do want to explore. Something that they actually do want to represent in their films. I don't have any other words for that other than I'm very excited to see that that is actually a thing that's happening. But okay, time to wrap this whole thing up, which means time for one last crazy theory. I told you my theories about each of these individual shows and each of these individual movies, but when you look at all of them lined up, there is a pattern here, which is that in Spider-Man Far From Home, the last film in Phase 3, you had Mysterio come in there and go, yes, there is a multiverse. And then he turned to the audience and went, tee, no there isn't, I just made that whole thing up. And now you're going to have Loki from an alternate reality getting a show, What If is getting a show, Doctor Strange is going to have a movie which has multiverse in the freaking title. I said I think that the WandaVision show is probably going to have to do with alternate realities as well. Alternate realities is definitely a theme. They're definitely setting that up. So I don't know where that's going, but I definitely just want to come in here and point out that's definitely not by coincidence. That's definitely something that they are leaning into on purpose. No way would they have Mysterio come in here, mention multiverses, and then make a movie about multiverses. Make a show about multiverses. They are definitely leaning into that. I mean, heck, when Hulk sent Captain America back at the end of Endgame, he said, okay, make sure that you do this just right, otherwise you're going to create a whole bunch of weird alternate realities. They created a bunch of weird alternate realities. So what's going to happen with that? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's worth thinking about. But that's it, everyone. Those are my thoughts about everything that Marvel revealed for Phase 4 at San Diego Comic-Con this year. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, or at Twitter, Twitch, and Patreon at Professor Thorgy. In fact, if you want some more San Diego Comic-Con news from us, we're going to be talking about all those brand new X-Men books that they revealed coming up this Wednesday on Comic Class. But we are also going to have a special extra, just gumbo, throw everything together that I couldn't fit in one specific place kind of video coming up just for the patrons. So if you want to know my thoughts on that Witcher trailer, on all that stuff that's getting revealed about DuckTales Season 2, about that new Harley Quinn trailer, if you want to know all my thoughts about those, then sign up for our Patreon. Just $1 a month gets you at least one video every single month from us over there. But yes, that is it. I got nothing else to say. These lights are hot. I've been talking for way too long. I have got complete mush mouth at this point, so I'm just going to say thanks for tuning in, everyone. Come back next time. Bye.